My name is Natalie, and on my 34th birthday, something inside me finally broke. I had spent months saving for the perfect designer dress, excited to celebrate at one of Chicago's most exclusive restaurants. But then my niece, Sophia, deliberately threw her cranberry cocktail across the table. The red liquid spread across my cream silk dress like a bloodstain. "Now you look as cheap as you really are," she smirked, 17 and full of a venom I knew all too well. My mother, her grandmother, simply patted her hand approvingly. I just smiled. But inside, after years of playing the responsible one, the family safety net, the quiet ATM something finally snapped. NNIF, you are watching this. Drop a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments where you are from. You will not believe what happened next, and I have always been the responsible one. While my older sister, Vanessa, bounced between jobs and apartments in our hometown, I moved to Chicago and built a real career. Through talent and countless late nights, I climbed from an entry-level coordinator to an executive director at a top marketing firm. My apartment overlooking Lake Michigan, my carefully curated wardrobe, they were testaments to my sacrifice. And Vanessa took a different path. She had her daughter, Sophia, at 20, and cycled through a series of boyfriends and minimum wage jobs. I never judged her choices, but I did become her safety net. Nat, the landlord is threatening eviction, became a monthly call. Sophia needs money for her dance recital was a constant refrain. The emergency credit card I gave Vanessa 2 years ago was meant for a genuine crisis. Instead, it became her allowance for designer purses and weekend getaways. Every month, I paid the bill without complaint. Family helps family, right? When Sophia turned 16, I bought her a car, a safe, reliable sedan, registered in my name for insurance purposes. "You can use it until you graduate," I told her, watching her expression sour at the word use instead of have. NNMY own mother, Patricia, enabled this entire dynamic. My promotions were met with, "I hope you're not working too hard, sweetheart." My financial success was dismissed with, "Money isn't everything, Natalie." Meanwhile, Vanessa, despite her repeated financial disasters, was always just doing her best and had such a big heart. Last month, I received a major promotion to executive vice president. When I called to share the news, my mother said, "That's wonderful, honey. Did I tell you Vanessa is thinking about taking some online classes? She is so brave." Despite it all, I loved them. They were my family, and I believed that one day they would finally see me and be proud. When my birthday approached, I decided this year would be different. I would host a celebration at Alinea, Chicago's most prestigious restaurant. I would wear something spectacular. Surrounded by the life I had built, they would finally understand my value. Looking back, I realize how desperately I was still seeking their approval. I didn't understand then that some people are determined to misunderstand you, especially when your success highlights their own failures. Planning my birthday celebration became a project I threw myself into with my usual precision. Alinea, the restaurant, required reservations 3 months in advance. I set a calendar reminder to call the moment their booking system opened. When I secured the private dining room for my exact birthday, it felt like a sign that this celebration would finally be different. NNTHE dress was next. I wanted something special, something that represented the woman I had become. After 4 weekends of searching, I found it. A cream-colored silk sheath that fell just below my knees, with subtle crystal beading along the neckline. It cost $3,000, more than I had ever spent on a single item of clothing. But when I tried it on, I knew it was perfect. And invitations went out 6 weeks before the date. My friends responded immediately with enthusiastic acceptances. Inviting my family was more complicated. My mother's response was a sigh. A Thursday night? That's a long drive into the city, Natalie. Vanessa's was a complaint about the cost. Alinea, isn't that place super expensive? It's my treat, I assured her, for everyone. A pause. Sophia will need something to wear, she added. I can send you some money for an outfit for her, I said, my voice tight. That would be the least you could do, Vanessa replied, as if I were imposing on her. NNTHE, morning of my birthday, I allowed myself to hope. By 6 p.m. I was ready. The dress fit perfectly. My hair fell in soft waves. I looked exactly as I had hoped, successful, confident, worthy of celebration. My friends arrived promptly at 6:30, bearing beautiful gifts and genuine smiles. By 7:15 we were seated at the table, with no sign of my family. I checked my phone repeatedly as the first course arrived. At 7:45, just as the second course was being served, they finally appeared. NNMY mother, my sister, and my niece, Sophia. Sorry we're late, my mother said, not sounding sorry at all. Traffic was terrible. Sophia, my 17-year-old niece, was already on her phone, wearing a crop top and miniskirt that were wildly inappropriate for the venue. The staff smoothly reset their places. The conversation was stilted. My friends tried to include my family, but were met with minimal, one-word responses. NNTHE evening progressed, a painful study in contrasts. My friends shared stories that highlighted my better qualities. My family contributed little, except for the occasional cutting remark. When it came time for toasts, my friends were warm and loving. My mother simply said, "Happy birthday, sweetheart, 34 already." Vanessa lifted her glass reluctantly. To my little sister, she said, her voice laced with sarcasm, always reaching for the stars. Sophia didn't bother to toast at all. The dessert course arrived, an elaborate construction of chocolate and edible flowers. As everyone admired it, I felt a momentary flash of pride. This was my life, the one I had built from nothing. For just a second, I allowed myself to enjoy it. That was when I noticed Sophia whispering to Vanessa, who smirked and whispered something back. My mother leaned in, and all three glanced at me with expressions that made my stomach tighten. "Everything okay?" I asked lightly. "Just fine," my mother replied. Sophia was just saying how fancy everything is. I turned to my niece, offering an olive branch. "I'm glad you could come, Sophia. I know weeknight events are hard." NNSHE looked directly at me for the first time that evening. "Yeah, whatever. Must be nice to waste money like this when there are people starving." NMY friends exchanged uncomfortable glances. "Actually," I interjected carefully, "I've been putting aside some money for your education, Sophia. There are some excellent dance programs." Instead of gratitude, I watched as three faces hardened. "So, you've just been sitting on a pile of money all this time while we struggled?" Vanessa's voice had the dangerous edge I recognized from childhood. "It's in a trust," I explained, "for Sophia's education." Always the savior, Vanessa sneered, always making the rest of us look bad. And MY friends were now openly uncomfortable. Kate placed a hand on my arm. The beautiful evening I had planned was disintegrating. "And I don't need your charity." Sophia suddenly spoke up, her voice rising. "I don't need anything from you." She stood up abruptly, grabbing her nearly full glass of cranberry cocktail. "You want to know what I think of your help? Your fancy dress? Your fancy life?" Before anyone could react, she tossed the contents of her glass directly at me. The cold, red liquid hit my chest, soaking into the cream silk of my $3,000 dress. In the shocked silence that followed, Sophia delivered the final blow. "Now you look as cheap as you really are." NMY friends gasped. I expected my mother to scold her, to apologize. Instead, she patted Sophia's hand. "I think we should go," she said, standing up. "Natalie, this was all a bit much. You know how teenagers can be." And as they walked out, leaving me humiliated in front of my friends and a restaurant full of strangers, I maintained my composure. But inside, something had finally irrevocably broken. In the privacy of my apartment, surrounded by my true friends, I finally allowed myself to cry. But as my friends offered comfort, something else, something hard and cold, began to form in my chest, right where my heart used to be. For years, I had been the family ATM, the emotional support system, the punching bag for their insecurities. And this was my reward: public humiliation. After my friends left, I sat alone in my living room, still wearing the stained dress. I picked up my phone and opened my social media. Sophia had already posted about the incident. A blurry photo of me, captioned, "When rich auntie needs to be taken down a peg. #sorry not sorry." The post had dozens of likes, including one from my sister, Vanessa. In that moment, something broke free inside me. The need for their approval, the desperate desire for their love, the willingness to be used again and again, all of it fell away. In its place was a clarity I had never experienced before. And then I picked up my phone again and made 2 calls. The first was to my credit card company. The second was to my lawyer. And alone in my apartment, I finally peeled off the ruined dress, a $3,000 shroud for a relationship that had been dead for years. The shower water ran hot as I scrubbed the cranberry juice from my skin. My mind raced through years of similar moments. Vanessa, accidentally, spilling wine on my graduation dress. My mother dismissing every achievement with faint praise before changing the subject to Vanessa's latest crisis. NWHY? Had I accepted this for so long? The question echoed in the steam-filled bathroom. Opening my laptop, I pulled up my financial records. The evidence was damning. In the past 5 years alone, I had given Vanessa over $78,000. The credit card I had given her for emergencies showed monthly charges at designer stores, spas, and restaurants I couldn't afford myself. The car I had purchased for Sophia, the one registered in my name for insurance purposes, had cost me $32,000. NNTHE numbers were stark, cold, and irrefutable. And they were about to become my weapons. For hours I researched my options, a cold fury guiding my every click. I made a list of all the ways I had financially supported my sister and niece. The credit card, the car, the endless emergency transfers. Each action I planned brought both a pang of old, conditioned guilt and a wave of new, liberating relief. And around 2 a.m., my phone exploded with notifications. Vanessa had tried to use the credit card for a late-night fast food run and found it declined. Her text messages escalated from confusion to pure, entitled "Rage," "In cards not working, need you to call the bank," and "Hello, I'm stranded at a drive-thru." What the hell, Natalie? Are you seriously doing this over your stupid birthday? Real mature. And then I turned my phone to silent and went to bed. For the first time in years, I slept deeply, untroubled by the manufactured crises of my family. And morning brought more messages, including several from my mother, accusing me of being petty and vindictive. "Your sister needs that card for emergencies," she wrote. "Whatever happened at dinner is no reason to punish her financially." I didn't respond. Instead, I called the towing company and arranged for them to pick up my car from the high school parking lot where Sophia would be leaving it during her dance practice. "There may be some confusion about the ownership," I told the dispatcher. "The driver is trained to handle delicate situations," he assured me. At exactly 7:50 a.m., my phone rang. It was Sophia, her voice high and panicked. "My car is gone. Someone stole my car from the school parking lot." And I took a deep breath. "It's not your car, Sophia. It's my car. I bought it, I pay the insurance, and my name is on the registration. I've arranged to have it returned to me." NNTHE silence on the other end was followed by an explosion of teenage fury. "You can't do that! How am I supposed to get to dance practice? This is illegal." It is perfectly legal, I said calmly. And yes, this is a consequence of your behavior. You humiliated me in public, destroyed my dress, and posted mocking videos online. Those are cruel actions. The car was always mine, temporarily loaned to you. I'm simply reclaiming my property. NSHE began to cry, the manipulative sobs I had heard so many times before. Please, Aunt Natalie. I need the car. I'm sorry. I'll delete the posts. I'm sorry too, Sophia, I said, and was surprised to find I meant it. But my decision is final. I hung up as she was still pleading. Within minutes, Vanessa was calling. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to her rage-filled message, accusing me of destroying her daughter's life over a little spilled drink. I texted them all the same message. I am available to talk in person at my apartment at 3 p.m. this afternoon. We have much to discuss. Then I began to gather my evidence. Bank statements, credit card bills, screenshots of social media posts. By the time they arrived, I would be ready. The morning after my birthday, the disaster unfolded with methodical precision. I woke early, made coffee, and reviewed my action plan. The clarity I felt was almost euphoric, like breaking the surface after years underwater. NNMY. First call was to the credit card company at exactly 8 a.m. Good morning, I said, my voice steady. I need to remove an authorized user from my account immediately. The entire call took less than 10 minutes. One phone call and a major avenue of their exploitation was closed forever. NMY's second call was to a reputable towing company. I scheduled the pickup for 7:30 a.m., knowing Sophia would be at her early morning dance practice. There may be some confusion about the ownership, I told the dispatcher. We understand, ma'am, he replied. Our drivers are trained to handle delicate situations. NBY 9:30 a.m., the first crisis call came through. It was Vanessa, her voice shrill with panic. Natalie, my card was declined at the gas station. There must be some mistake. There is no mistake, Vanessa, I said calmly. I have removed you as an authorized user from my credit account. In stunned silence. Then, you what? Are you serious right now? It was just a stupid dinner. It was my birthday celebration, I corrected her, and your daughter deliberately humiliated me. But this isn't just about last night. This is about years of financial dependence that has created an unhealthy dynamic. It's over. I hung up as she was still sputtering threats. NNTHE, next call, right on schedule, was from Sophia, her voice trembling with a mixture of panic and fury. My car is gone. Someone stole it. It's not your car, Sophia, I said, my voice like ice. It is my car. I bought it, I pay for it, and I have arranged to have it returned to me. NHER shock was audible. You can't do that? How am I supposed to get to dance practice? That is no longer my problem to solve, I said. Deliberately humiliating someone is not a joke. Posting mocking videos online is not a joke. Those are cruel actions. And cruel actions have real consequences. I hung up as she started to cry, the manipulative sobs I knew all too well. NNMY mother called next, her voice a weaponized mixture of disappointment and guilt. I let her speak, then said simply, I am available to talk in person at my apartment at 3 p.m. this afternoon. We have much to discuss. I spent the next hour preparing. I laid out the financial documents on my dining table. I printed screenshots of Sophia's social media posts. This was not a family chat. This was an audit. They entered my apartment like invaders. Vanessa stormed in first, her face red with rage. Sophia sulked behind her, puffy-eyed but still defiant. My mother brought up the rear. her expression one of sorrowful disappointment, a look that had successfully manipulated my guilt since childhood. "Sit down," I said, gesturing to the dining table where I had arranged the documents. "And then, I am not sitting anywhere until you explain yourself," Vanessa snapped. "How dare you strand my daughter at school? How dare you cancel my credit card without warning?" I remained calm. "The car is registered in my name. The credit card is in my name. I am simply reclaiming what is mine." "Natalie, honey," my mother began, adopting her peacemaker role, "I understand you're upset, but this response is extremely disproportionate." "Is it?" I asked, pulling out a chair for myself. "Please, all of you, sit. I want to show you something." Reluctantly, they took their seats. I began by sliding a folder toward them. "These are my bank records for the past 5 years," I said. "They show every transfer made to Vanessa's account. The total is $47,632. Vanessa's eyes widened slightly. "These," I continued, pushing another folder forward, "are the credit card statements. The total charges come to $31,418. Items purchased include designer clothing, spa treatments, and concert tickets, not what most people would consider emergencies." An NMY mother cleared her throat. "Family helps family, Natalie. I have worked 60 to 70-hour weeks for years." I corrected her. "I have earned every promotion through excellence." I turned to the next document. "This is the purchase agreement for the car Sophia has been using. $32,000, plus $4,000 annually for insurance and maintenance, all paid by me." Sophia had the grace to look slightly ashamed. "NN, the total financial support I have provided," I concluded, my voice steady, "comes to over $116,000. The room was silent. "And this," I said, placing my tablet on the table, "is how my generosity has been repaid." I showed them Sophia's social media page, the mocking posts, the cruel comments, my sister's laughing emojis, and Sophia. I asked, "Would you care to explain why you thought it was appropriate to humiliate me publicly?" "It was just a joke," she squirmed. "A joke is something everyone laughs at," I said. "Did you see me laughing when you threw your drink on my $3,000 dress?" "You can afford another one," she muttered. That is not the point," I said. "The point is respect. Basic human decency. Neither of which you demonstrated." I looked at each of them. "For years I have supported you. I have never asked for anything in return, except appreciation and respect. Last night made it crystal clear I cannot even expect that much." Vanessa seemed to finally grasp the severity of the situation. The reality that the Bank of Natalie was closing, permanently. "So, you're just cutting us off completely?" she asked, her voice a mixture of disbelief and panic. "And I am establishing boundaries that should have been in place long ago," I said. "The credit card is canceled. The financial support is over. The car is mine again." "How am I supposed to get to dance?" Sophia burst out, the reality of her own consequences finally dawning. "How am I supposed to get to school? The same way thousands of other teenagers do," I replied calmly. "Walk, take the bus, ask your friends for rides. This is not my problem to solve." "This isn't fair," she cried. "Neither is being mocked and humiliated by someone I have generously supported for years." I countered. NMY mother tried a different approach, her voice taking on a wounded, manipulative tone. "Natalie, I understand you feel hurt, but this feels like punishment, and families shouldn't punish each other." "This is not punishment, Mom," I said, my voice steady. "These are natural consequences. When you mistreat someone who has been supporting you, that support may end." NNTHE reality of their new situation began to sink in, their faces a mask of dawning horror. "The rent is due next week," Vanessa said, her voice a pale whisper. "I can't make it without your help." "I'm sure you will figure something out," I said, my voice devoid of sympathy. "Perhaps a second job." "Or a roommate and Sophia's dance classes?" my mother asked. "Her college fund. The college fund still exists." I confirmed. It's in a trust that she can access when she enrolls in higher education. That money was always for her education, and it will remain for that purpose. But everything else, the car, the clothes, the lifestyle you couldn't afford, is over. And a heavy silence fell over the room. They exchanged glances at a complete loss. The dynamic had shifted so dramatically that their usual tactics, the guilt, the manipulation, the anger, the tears, were useless. And I can't believe you would do this to your own family, my mother finally said, falling back on her last remaining weapon, emotional blackmail. And what exactly have we been through together, Mom? I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. When have any of you supported me through a difficult time? When have you celebrated my successes without a hint of jealousy or resentment? When have you shown me 1/10 of the consideration I have shown you? And NSHE had no answer.
Vanessa, ever the opportunist, saw her opening. Okay, she said, her voice suddenly reasonable. We messed up, we're sorry. What do we need to do to fix this? This isn't something you can fix with a hasty apology, Vanessa, I said. This is about fundamentally broken patterns in our relationship, patterns that have persisted for decades. So that's it? You're just done with us? Sophia's voice cracked, a genuine fear breaking through her teenage bravado. And I softened slightly. I'm not done with you, I said, looking at my niece. I am done enabling destructive behavior. I am done being an ATM. I am done accepting disrespect as my due. I walked back to the table and gathered the documents into a neat stack. I would like each of you to take some time to reflect on what you have contributed to our relationship versus what you have taken. I walked to the door and opened it, a clear signal that the meeting was over. I love you all, I said, surprising myself with the truth of it. But I will no longer accept being loved conditionally. They filed out silently, the gravity of the situation finally sinking in. As my mother passed, she paused. I never meant to hurt you, she said softly. I know, I replied, but you did, repeatedly. And now, we all have to live with the consequences of that. NNTHE door closed behind them, and I was alone in the quiet of my apartment. For the first time in my adult life, I felt truly, completely free. The weight of their expectations, of their unreciprocated demands, had finally lifted. Whatever came next, I would face it on my own terms.
The first month after our confrontation was the hardest. My phone buzzed constantly with messages alternating between anger, pleading, and guilt-tripping. I responded factually and calmly, but refused to engage with their emotional manipulation. Eventually, the barrage slowed, then stopped. The silence was both painful and peaceful. Then came a text from Sophia that changed everything. I got a job at the mall, saving for a car, not asking for money. Just wanted you to know. That simple message, free from demands, was the first tender shoot of something new growing from the scorched earth of our relationship. I replied simply, I am proud of you. Vanessa's transformation took longer. According to my mother, she cycled through rage, depression, and finally, reluctant acceptance. 3 months after our confrontation, she found a better-paying job as an office manager and moved to a smaller apartment she could actually afford. When she finally reached out, her message was unexpected. Thank you for forcing me to stand on my own. I hate that it took this, but I needed the push. NNMY mother was the most complex. Decades of enabling Vanessa and dismissing me could not be undone quickly. We began with brief, carefully neutral phone calls. Slowly, she began to see me clearly, perhaps for the first time, asking questions about my life with genuine interest. You sound different, Natalie, she said once. Happier. I am, I replied. Setting boundaries has been good for me. In NBY, the 6-month mark, we had progressed to monthly family dinners at my mother's house. Simple meals where we were relearning how to be together without the distortions of financial dependence. During one dinner, Sophia asked to speak with me privately. I need to apologize properly, she said, looking me in the eye. What I did at your birthday was cruel and stupid. I was jealous of your life. It seemed so easy for you. It was never easy, I told her. The difference was that I took responsibility for my choices. I understand that now, she said. Working for minimum wage has been educational. Vanessa's transformation was perhaps the most profound. Without the safety net of my financial support, she had found resources within herself she never knew existed. She was taking night classes in accounting, building skills for a real career. During a rare sister lunch, she confessed, I resented you for so long, Natalie. Your perfect life. I told myself you had it easy. Now I see that you made choices, and I made choices. And that's not your fault. It was the closest we had ever come to a genuine connection. An NMY mother took the longest to truly change, but small shifts were happening. She began to treat me and Vanessa with more equality. During a private moment after dinner one night, she took my hand. I failed you as a mother, she said simply. I took your strength for granted. I am sorry, Natalie. Truly sorry. The words I had needed to hear for decades finally came, and with them, a quiet, cleansing wave of release. When my 35th birthday approached, I considered letting it pass quietly. But my friend Kate convinced me otherwise. You can't let one bad experience rob you of celebrations forever, she argued. NNSO, I planned a small gathering at my mother's house. No expensive restaurant, no designer dress. Just family and close friends, a home-cooked meal, and genuine conversation. As we sat around the table, I looked at the faces of my family, still imperfect, still learning, but trying now in ways they never had before. Sophia had made me a beautiful, heartfelt card. Vanessa had bought me a thoughtful gift, one she could actually afford. My mother had prepared all my favorite foods. When it came time for toasts, my mother stood first. To my daughter Natalie, she said, her voice steady, who had the courage to show us all a better way to be family. I am proud of the woman you have become, and grateful for the chance to truly know you now. As I drove home that night, I reflected on the lesson of the past year. Sometimes, the greatest act of love is saying no. Sometimes, the hardest boundaries are the ones most necessary for growth. And sometimes, a family has to break before it can be properly rebuilt. The journey had been painful, but the destination was worth it. By standing firm in my worth, I had given my family the opportunity to become their best selves, and I had given myself permission to be truly, unconditionally loved.